Where I come from, it's important that we introduce ourselves in our own language. And so again, I grew up with my language and very familiar with my culture, my tradition, and our cultural practices. And so I'll introduce myself in my own language. And so just so you know, we don't have a translator here for me, so I'm gonna be speaking my own language here. Yat eshik edosh ne she TJ warning is yet. Okay, the net could in slow but at the bush chin. Kill the cheating does not let's cheat the chase. Could add the net. Let's just cheat as a content, now shut the never care we get there. But again, some cool Wanuskewin and Yenigi Kosha has at cool men's Prairie Chicken Dance, so Yenigi Kong, no power, or Yenigi Kong, Besha has at Kong, Beyansh Kitole, Benansh Kindole, with Edole, I can't have, in my introduction, you know, it's basically an understanding and an acknowledgement to my ancestors and my relatives. And so where I come from, we come from 4 different clanships, and that's included in my introduction. And so from these clanships, I identify my relatives and family lineage. And so I have one clan that comes from my mother, because I am my mother's child. I have a second clan that comes from my father. I have a third clan that comes from my mother's mother, so my maternal grandparent. My fourth clan comes from my father's mother, so my paternal grandparent. And so I acknowledge these 4 clanships in my introduction, because that's what we were taught. I also said thank you to Wanuskewin, and also the opportunity to talk about this dance style that I'll be sharing today, and also a little bit about the background of powwow, and our understanding as it is today. So it's you know, it's a beautiful day. You know, it's that time of season where you know, there's a lot of peace. They talk about this season as our storytelling season, when the frost is out and snow is out. A lot of us, we spend a lot of times in our homes because it starts to get cold. And when I grew up a long time ago, I remember hearing all of our traditional stories in my grandmother's home. We lived in a small log hut covered with dirt in Arizona in the wintertime. And inside these huts, it was one big room, probably the size of what we're in right now. To the west or to the south was our bedding, and then to the north side was our kitchen, and everything else was in between, right here. In the center of our home was our log burners, our stoves. A lot of times, I remember this place. This is where I grew up. This is where I heard all these stories about our people. It was a kerosene lamp that was our only light. Otherwise, it was darkness a lot of times when we heard these stories. This is where I am from. This is where I received my knowledge. It was passed on generation to generation. And so a lot of this knowledge and history that we are learning about here has been passed down similar ways. A lot of our oral history is shared here too. See, Wanuskewin right here, this place, very special place. It was a meeting place for many different people, just like all of you here. We come here and we meet each other. We have people from all different walks of life. But what's beautiful is we all have a culture. We all have an identity. We all have a history. We all have our languages. And I encourage you to learn those things, not for yourself, but for your children, for your great-grandchildren, for your relatives. So, today I stand here as a proud man. Navajo, sometimes they refer to us as. How many of you guys have seen a lot of those old Western films, cowboy and Indian films? A lot of you guys? Yeah, you see these Indians and these cowboys riding in these dirt, you know, with these massive land rocks and mesas. And, well, that's where I grew up. That's my backyard, literally. From where all these films were filmed, what they call Monument Valley, that's about 30 minutes from my house. But from my house, when the sun sets, that is my backdrop to the west of where I am from. And so if you think about people living in this place, this desolate land with no greenery, you have to be a strong people. to survive. That's who I am. That's where I come from. That's my stronghold. That's my strength. But today, I make my home here in Saskatchewan, amongst this treaty territory, number 6 here. And I acknowledge these people around here. See, my relatives, they live here too. The Dene people of this area in the north are my relatives too. We have a long story and history between us, but today we have so much time, so we'll stick to our agenda. So before we go any further, I want to give my gratitude to everybody joining us here today. I hope you take something home. And I hope you return home back to your home fires the same way you left it, maybe even better. So without any further ado, I want to go to our first song, what we call the men's Prairie Chicken Dance song. And so this is a contemporary song in today's societies. And we'll talk about the Prairie Chicken Dance a little bit more, but let's get to some dancing. So, who's here to see some dancing? Here we go, we're going to go with song number 1. Let's turn the volume up on that. Let's make sure we get these chairs vibrating here and get some ears ringing maybe. Here we go, the men's Prairie Chicken Dance.